Hare Krishna. Can you hear my voice? Am I audible? Okay, let's start. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. We have been discussing from the fifth chapter, the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The chapter is titled as Rishabhadev's teachings to his sons. So we saw the series of verses where Rishabhadev gave instructions to his sons for their spiritual growth because they were all Vaishnavas. So there were instructions on pure devotional service. Okay. But now, considering that they were all, or most of them were Kshatriyas, he is giving them instruction as to how they should be uh, serving the Brahmanas and taking instructions from the Brahmanas, and in that way set the right example for the greater society to uh, accept, worship, and follow the Brahmanas. So he said that amongst all the living beings, there are plants are the lowest, then higher than the plants are the animals, higher than the animals are the human beings, and higher than the human beings are the Gandharvas, then Kinnaras, then Indra is superior to them, then the sons of Brahma like Daksha are superior to Indra, Shiva, and so on. And then finally he says, I am superior even to Brahma, but the best of the Brahmanas are worshipped by me, he says. And in this context, we saw yesterday the word worship or bhajate bhajan, ye yatamam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham. The word bhajan does not always refer to the typical worship. Oftentimes, the word bhajate can be used to indicate respect, reciprocate. uh, So in this case of ye yatamam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajami aham. So the word bhajami here refers to, uh, I reciprocate in that sense. So he says, they are worshipped by me means they are, uh, I value them a lot. That's what it means. It does not literally mean he worships just like one would worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Then he says that I do not see anyone equal to the Brahmanas. Who is superior to the Brahmanas? I do not accept the offerings at the fire sacrifice as much as I accept to full satisfaction what is offered with faith to the Brahmanas mouth by men. So, which means it does not mean all the fire sacrifices should stop and everyone should start feeding the Brahmanas. But what the Supreme Lord is trying to communicate is, your fire sacrifices will be of no use if you are disrespecting the Brahmanas and not accepting their guidance. That's the way it should be understood. It's not that everyone who is performing fire sacrifice should stop all their fire sacrifices and start feeding the Brahmanas. So feeding the Brahmanas here means respecting the Brahmanas and taking their guidance and serving the Brahmanas. And if you respect the Brahmanas, they will say perform fire sacrifices. So that is what it means. So he'll say, no, 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 no. I will not perform fire sacrifice. I will just feed you. Okay. That's not what it means. So here feeding means respecting and valuing their association, valuing their guidance and following their guidance. That's what here it means. It does not literally mean that everyone should stop the fire sacrifices and no more fire sacrifices. That's not what it means. One should understand that. So I think this is where we ended our discussion. Yeah. Let us start. We will go on non-stop till 8:15, and then from then on we will open up for some discussion. Okay. So Rishabdev continues glorifying the Brahmanas. Dhrita tanurushati me purani yeneha sattvam paramam pavitram shamodamas satyam anugrahascha tapastitikshanubhavascha yatra. Huh? There is no person superior to the Brahmana who supports my pure eternal body in the form of the Vedas. Yena Dhrita, who supports, by whom is supported. Me Ushati Purani Tanuhu, my Ushati, pure, Purani, um, the form of the Vedas, Tanuhu, my body in the form of the Vedas, Iha, in this world. So I consider the Vedas as my body, and my body in the form of the Vedas is protected by the Brahmanas in this world. Uh, in this world. Yatra Sattvam Paramam Pavitram, and in whom reside the purest Sattva. In whom resides the purest Sattva. Again, okay, let's complete the verse and then we will discuss about this. The control of the senses, mind, truthfulness, mercy, etc. Tapaha, titiksha, anubhavascha. So, which means when Krishna is talking about the Brahmanas, he is talking about Brahmanas who possess these qualities, qualified Brahmanas. Of course, it's not that uh, there are qualified Brahmanas and unqualified Brahmanas. There are progressively qualified Brahmanas. And to the extent they are qualified, to that extent, there is Krishna has appreciation for them, because to that extent, they are assisting Krishna in his mission in this world. Okay. So it is not a question of qualified Brahmanas and unqualified Brahmanas. It is a question of progressively more qualified Brahmanas. So again, few things I would like to touch on this particular theme. First thing is that he says, in whom reside the purest sattva. Again, we had discussed this a few times before, that when Brahmaji created the human beings, he said, Rajo adhikaha karma para dukkeshu sukhamaninaha. Like that, he described the human beings. So, Rajo adhikaha means the human beings in general have a predominance of Rajoguna. Okay. The human beings have a predominance of Rajoguna. So now you say, but we do hear that Brahmanas are in mode of goodness, Kshatriyas are in mixed mode of goodness and passion, and Vaishyas are in mixed mode of passion and ignorance, and Shudras are in ignorance. Okay. So what does it mean? Now you are here, but Brahmaji says human beings are in passion. Rajo adhikaha, the predominant mode. So we saw the example of a, if you remember, we saw the example of a pizza. Okay. In a cheese pizza, what is the main ingredient in a cheese pizza? Someone may say it is cheese. But if you technically see, it is the dough. It is either maida, refined flour, or it is wheat flour. If you are health conscious, you don't want refined flour base, then you get wheat base, whole wheat. Okay. So whether you get cheese pizza, double cheese pizza, triple cheese pizza, whatever you may take, but the main ingredient is the dough, right? So you may call it pure cheese pizza. There is absolutely nothing else. No vegetables, nothing. Okay, nothing else. It is purely cheese. It's a pure cheese pizza, you may call it. So pure cheese pizza means what? There is only pure cheese? No. Still, the major ingredient is the base, which is made of wheat. in some form or other, whether maida or whole wheat, whatever. Okay. So similarly, when we say the Brahmanas are in Sattva, it means beyond the threshold rajas, which defines the human beings, beyond that, which means beyond the base, the topping is Sattva. Okay. Beyond the base of rajas, the topping is Sattva. Okay. And when there is a mixed topping of Sattva and rajas, it is Kshatriya. Beyond the threshold base of rajas. Okay. And similarly, Vaishyas and Shudras. So a Brahmana, when we say a Brahmana by quality, a Brahmana by quality, so a Brahmana by quality means beyond that basic rajas, that there is predominance of sattva. There is predominance of sattva. So even the best of the Brahmanas, you cannot say is exclusively in sattva. It's exclusively in sattva. It is not like that. His whole makeup, the makeup of his gross and subtle body itself, or especially the subtle body, has that threshold of rajas. It is there. Beyond that, there is prominence of, beyond that threshold, there may be prominence of one of the modes or two of the modes or three of the modes, whatever may be a combination that may be there, because of which they may be called as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Okay. And also, as Prabhupada has often mentioned, it is the qualities which define, a person within the Varnashrama system. Whether you call them as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, it is the qualities which define. Okay. And it is not birth. Okay. It is not birth. But having said that, birth also is defined by qualities only. Birth is not random. We have discussed this many times. Again, I will just touch this point. Okay. Birth is not random. Birth is due to one's qualities and karma. So it is not random. So therefore, when it is mentioned, Krishna says, Mashucha Sampadam Daivim Abhijatosi Pandava, Abhijatosi Bharata. Daivim Sampad Vimokshaya Nibanda Yasuri Mata, Mashucha Sampadam Daivim Abhijatosi Bharata. Krishna says to Arjuna in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, the chapter which describes about the divine and the demoniac qualities. So he says that Mashucha Sampadam Daivim Abhijatosi Bharata. Do not fear, O Arjuna. You are born with divine qualities. You are born with divine qualities. Okay. So, therefore, one should understand that. So we were discussing the other day. So birth. Then why then the Prabhupada say that Varna is not by birth, but it is by qualities? It says that birth gives a particular, birth indicates what you are carrying forward from the previous life. Okay. Birth indicates what you are carrying forward from the previous life. Okay. Now, having said that, you have to preserve it, nurture it, and nourish it in this life. Okay. You have to preserve it, nurture it, and nourish it in this life. Okay. Like 3 days back, I had gone to the market and I had purchased vegetables. Okay. 3 days back, I had gone to the market and purchased vegetables. Now, today also, today I did not go. Let's say today also I get some vegetables. Okay. And top up. But whatever I purchased 3 days back, if I don't properly refrigerate it, I just put it outside, allow it to rot. Okay. Then you cannot say that Now how much vegetables will be there? Whatever you purchased 3 days back, plus whatever you purchased today, minus whatever was utilized for cooking. You cannot say that. Because whatever was purchased 3 days back, you did not properly preserve it. Instead of properly refrigerating it, you just put it outside. So it got rotten. So it is no longer edible. So birth is like that. Okay. When so birth is like whatever is the previously purchased vegetables. That is birth. Refrigerating it is samskaras. Okay. Samskarat tu bhaved dvijah. So we say that janmana jayate shudra samskarat tu bhaved dvija. By birth, everyone is a shudra means if you get vegetables 3 days back, okay, if you don't refrigerate it, it is not available for you for eating. It is as good as non-available. That is what it means. Okay. That does not mean everyone who is born is a Shudra. So the Janmana Jayate Shudra statement should be understood in conjunction with the next line, which is Samskarattu Bhaved Dvija. Okay. So, which means if you have purchased carrot, cabbage, let's say I have purchased carrot and cabbage 3 days back. I put it in the refrigerator. Okay. So I will get carrot and cabbage after 2 days, whatever, when you want to use it. So it does not mean Janmana Jayate Shudra, Samskarattu Bhaved Dvija means doesn't matter whatever vegetable you purchase, you put it in the refrigerator, you take it out, you will get potatoes. It is not like that. Okay. If you have purchased carrot, properly refrigerated it, when you take it out, you will get carrot. If you have purchased cabbage, properly refrigerated it, when you bring it out, you will get cabbage. Okay. That is how it should be understood. But if you don't refrigerate it, it will become inedible. Okay. So in this case, inedible means you can take it as Shudra, which is the bare minimum. Actually, it will be even lesser than Shudra, actually, if it is properly not. But if you refrigerate carrot, you will get carrot. That does not mean get whatever you want, we will put it in the refrigerator, what will come out is potato. It is not like that. So this has to be very clearly understood. Otherwise, oftentimes people quote only the first line, Janmana Jayate Shudra. Okay, Janmana Jayate Shudra, you understand. What it means is, it does not mean, it is not just sufficient that you get the vegetables. You have to protect, oh, I purchase vegetables for the next 10 days. That is fine. But if you don't properly preserve it, after 10 days or after 2 days, nothing will be available for you to eat. You cannot just say that I purchased 10 days vegetable. Okay. So purchasing that vegetable is birth. By birth, what you carry over. If you're refrigerating it, it's like samskaras. Samskarat to bhaved dvija. Okay. And then purchasing it, purchasing more vegetables 3 days later is like association. Okay. It's like association. So ultimately, how much vegetables and what vegetables you have depends on what you purchased 3 days before, how you refrigerate it, and what you purchase 3 days later. All of that put together defines how much vegetables you have. Okay. So that is the point. So let us for simplicity, let us assume that we want to every day eat only carrots. Okay. So you purchase 3 kilograms of carrot 3 days before, you properly refrigerate it, and again get 3 kilograms of carrot later. So that defines how much carrot you have, right? So that is the most important point. So So purchasing it 3 days before is what you carry over from your previous life, that is birth. And that refrigeration is samskaras. And the subsequent purchase is compared to your association. So eventually, your varna is defined by all these three things: birth, samskara, and association. So when Prabhupada says it does not depend on birth, it does not just depend on birth. That's what it means. Again and again, we are repeating the same point. So the point is that, yeah. So one who is, and interestingly, someone had made this point, but at that time I forgot to check out. Guna karma vibhagashaha. Was it for that verse? Or there is somewhere, if someone can help me remember or recollect, somewhere it says, where does it talk about varna and swabhava? Anyone remembers any verse where there is a connection between varna and swabhava? Anyone remembers varna and swabhava? Is there any? Um, yes, Shyam Sundaranand Prabhu.
Is it Yastya Yallakshanam Proktam where Rupa Goswami quotes that anyone can be transformed?
No, not Yasya Lakshanam Proktam. That is different. I think you are mixing with, uh, that Kanchanartham, that with
Hmm.
bell metal can be transformed into
Yeah,
gold by
correct.
mixing with. Not that. There is
Okay.
another verse in, I think, Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, where there is the use of the word Swabhava in conjunction with Varna. If anyone can help me, yeah, is it Guna Karma Vibhagashah? No. Mm, no, not Swakarmanam Tam Abhyarchya. Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. Oh, that's a very nice word. Let's try to find out that. I just wanted to check that when that yeah, Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. Let me try to find that out, because I heard that where the word Swabhava was used in conjunction, um, where the word Swabhava was used in conjunction with Varna, the Purvacharyas have mentioned it to indicate birth. I just want to check that out. I just want to check that out. So what is that? Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. I will just check that. Brahma Karma Swabhava Swabhavajam. Okay. Shamodamas Tapashaucham 18.42. Okay, let me check 18.42 Bhagavad Gita 18.41, 42. Swabhava Prabhavair Gunaihi. Okay, Swabhava Prabhavair Gunaihi. Oh, this is amazing. You see here. This is, see here. This is just, I'm just going to share with you the screen and you'll be surprised. Okay, you'll be surprised. Okay, I will just zoom it. Just give me a second. View, zoom, 200%. Okay, you see here, this is the one. Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Shudranam Chaparantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani Swabhava Prabhavair Gunaihi. Okay, Swabhava Prabhavair Gunaihi. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada says Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with the material modes. Okay. Now you see how Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti and Srila Baldev Devbhushan explained. O Parantapa, O afflictor of the enemies, the activities of the Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras have been designated precisely according to the gunas arising from birth. You see here. So he says the activities of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras have been designated precisely according to the gunas arising from birth. So now let us take this example. So every night before going to sleep, okay, just wait for a second. I think there are 100 devotees who have joined. I think I have not shared the link. Okay, YouTube link has to be shared. I will share it and then I will come back. So I was just telling, every day night before resting, invariably every day, one of the topics which I talk with my mother, the two of us discuss is what is the menu for the next day? Okay. What is the menu for the next day? So we take a mental inventory of, what are the vegetables which are there. So what we can cook the next day. So we take a mental inventory and then we decide the menu. And we are very particular about there should be no repetition of the same vegetable or the same preparation, within the 10 days or something like that. Okay. Within 10 days, there should be no repeat item. Okay. So you discuss it. Okay. So when you discuss it, what it means, okay, tomorrow let's make okay, uh, a vegetable made of carrot. So it means because so you decide what preparation to make based on what is already purchased and there. And provided it is refrigerated, then that carrot is available for you to cook the next day. You see here, you see how this thing. So the activities of the prescribed duties of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are assigned based on their qualities according to gunas, with the hope that those gunas would be refrigerated in the form of samskaras, and therefore they are available for utility. Okay, that is how we should understand. So he says, Swabhava Prabhavair Gunaihi, he says the gunas arising from birth. And see how Baldev Devoshan translates. O afflictor of enemies, the activities of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras have been divided precisely according to the gunas arising from previous impressions. Previous impressions means what? In previous birth. Okay, in previous birth. Right? So, Shri Vishwanath Chakadakur's commentary. Okay. However, the living body filled with the three gunas becomes successful by worshipping the Supreme Lord by prescribed activities according to the person's nature. This is described in 6 verses. These activities are duties designated precisely by the gunas of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, which manifest by birth. You see here, Swabhavena. Bhava means to take birth, Swabhavena, by one's own birth. Okay, Swabhava is described like this. Are prescribed for the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. So, Srila Baldev Devoshan's purport. Though all things are composed of the three gunas, if the four varnas perform their prescribed activities with the thought of worshipping the Lord, those activities will produce steadiness in jnana and lead to liberation. In order to express this idea, the Lord begins a new topic explaining it in 6 verses. Okay, now, the word Shudranam is separated from the compound. Okay, the actions of the four varnas are divided by scripture according to the gunas which appear from impressions, vasanas, from previous birth. According to Ramanuja, Anubhavaja smritehe hetuhu vasana. Samskaras are impressions, also called as vasanas, are the modifications of knowledge which cause memory of previous experience. They exist as knowledge which is an attribute of the jiva and produce memories of previous experience under certain conditions. Coming from previous lives, you see here, the actions of the four varnas are divided. Forget about what is there in the bracket. Read the whole sentence. The actions of the four varnas are divided by scriptures according to the gunas which appear from impressions coming from previous lives of the individual. That is the explanation of Swabhava Prabhavaihi. Thus, the four varnas endowed with the gunas have the activities discussed in the verses. So, a person is classed as a Brahmana with the predominance of Sattva because of his peaceful nature. Like that. The natures are carried over from the previous lives also. So then again he says, Shamodamastapashaucham, etc. Brahma karma swabhavajam. How is he explaining swabhavajam? Srila Vishnu Chakrakur says, the natural activities of the Brahmana are control of the mind, etc., etc. Yeah, and faith in the scriptures. Okay. Okay. So, therefore, so again, coming to the same point we have been discussing, we have discussed this many times. So, uh, you can understand this with this analogy of purchasing vegetables and refrigerating them and then purchasing more vegetables. Okay, so this is purchasing vegetables. The first time is birth, refrigerating them is samskaras, and then purchasing more is sangha, association. So all these three nurture and nourish the particular gunas, and in that way they nurture and nourish particular varnas. Okay, so that's what he says here, that there is no person superior to the Brahmana who supports my pure eternal body in the form of Vedas in this world, and in whom resides the purest sattva. So, which means they should have these qualities also. Okay, they should have these qualities also. And how do they get those qualities? By birth, by samskaras, and by sangha. Birth, samskaras, and sangha. So, birth is defined, birth, uh, you know, birth carries over what that person has performed in the previous lives. Samskaras is the uh, is the responsibility of the parents, and subsequently sangha is again the responsibility of the individual. He takes that responsibility. So, like that. So, here coming back to the context of what we have been discussing, Rishabhadeva has been instructing his sons about the importance of following the instructions of Brahmanas and respecting them properly and taking guidance from them, because the whole society has to be guided by them. Okay. So, yeah, he says, there is no one superior to the Brahmana who supports my body in the form of the Vedas in this world, and in whom the 8 qualities beginning with Sattva exist. मत्तोप्यनन्तात् परतः परस्मात् स्वर्गापवर्गाधिपतेर्न किञ्चित् येषां किमु स्यात् इतरेण तेषाम् अकिञ्चनानां मयि भक्तिभाजाम्. The devotees who worship only me, my bhaktibhajam, mattah akinchananam, who have given even themselves to me and who pray for nothing from me except me. Mattah akinchananam. Kinchit means little bit. Akinchananam means they don't expect anything from me except myself, which means except a relationship with me. Okay. Paratap parasmat, the Lord. Anantat, who possesses infinite qualities. Swarga apavarga adipatehe, and can award lordship over Swarga. Na kinchid itarena syad, need nothing from any other being. So who is my devotee? He says, the devotees, they worship only me and they have given themselves to me, and who pray for nothing from me, except a relationship with me. And even though I can award them everything, including liberation and Swarga, but they don't want anything from me except a relationship with me. And they will never approach anyone else to attain it. They will come, whatever they want, they will come only to me. Okay. And my devotees are the best. That's what the Lord is telling Rishabhadev. They are the most worthy of worship, even though the Brahmanas have been glorified. But he says, yes, the Brahmanas are glorious, but more glorious are the Vaishnavas. They do not pray for necessities from me. I am unlimited. I, the Lord, having unlimited powers and sweet qualities, exists as their goal. What do they need from any other person such as Brahma? Vidhi Mahendradischa Kitayate. Yet Karunya Kataksha Vaibhavavatam Tam Gauram Evastu Maha. Prabodhananda Saraswati says. So he says, Vidhi Mahendradischa Kitayate. Vidhi Mahendradischa Kitayate means they consider Brahma and Lord Shiva and the other demigods to be like Kita, means insects. Of course, one should understand this properly. That does not literally mean uh, that does not literally mean that they treat them like insects. That they never do. Sakale samman korite shakati dehonata jata jata. Okay. They definitely give the respect that they deserve. But when it comes to worship, okay, when it comes to worship, who is fit to be worshipped? Who is the ultimate personality of Godhead? It is it insect or the supreme personality of Godhead? Is it insect or Vishnu? It's a without a doubt Vishnu. How clear are you? 100% clear. Okay, fine. Vishnu or Brahma? Vishnu. How sure are you? 100% sure, without any doubt. Okay, fine. Vishnu or Lord Shiva? Vishnu. How sure are you? 100% sure, without any doubt. So, which means Vidhi Mahendradishta Kitayate, which means he is as sure about Vishnu when Vishnu is compared with an insect, as much he is sure about Vishnu when Vishnu is compared with Brahma or Shiva. So, in that sense, Vidhi Mahendradishta Kitayate, not that literally he treats the demigods like he would treat insects, because that is not the Vaishnava nature. Sakale samman korite shakati dehonata jata jata. Whatever respect a personality deserves according to the level of their development of consciousness, okay, according to the level of development of consciousness, that much he respects. That much he respects them. Okay. So what do they need from any other person such as Brahma? This is not spoken in a disrespectful way. Say that it is just like, what do you expect from, how much money do you expect from your neighbor? The answer is nothing, because the neighbor has nothing to do, with me. I mean, not that I don't respect the neighbor, not that I put him down, but the point is my dependence is on my father, not on the neighbor in that sense. They are without any possessions, having given to me all possessed objects and their identity. Akinchananam. Akinchananam means not literally that they are beggars, they don't have anything. So Akinchananam means they don't have a sense of possessiveness towards anything. That mamatva is not there. They may possess lot of things, but possessiveness is not there. That is the meaning of Akinchananam. They possess at every moment prema bhakti, and therefore those who desire this bhakti should worship them at all times. So if you desire prema bhakti and nothing else, then you should worship the Vaishnavas. They are most worshipable for me. Kapila explains in the third canto that devotees are superior to the Brahmanas. Tasmad mai arpita ashesha kriyartatma nirantarah mai arpitatmanah pumso mai sanyasta karmanah na pashyami parambhutam akartuhu samadarshanaat. He says, superior to the jnani is the person who fully dedicates his activities such as hearing and chanting, his wealth, his identity, his mind, and his intelligence to me. I do not see a greater living entity than this person who has offered himself to me. Giving up all varnashrama actions, who thinks that the Lord alone inspires his bhakti and who identifies with others' happiness and distress. Again and again, you will see this one quality repeating again and again. Empathy. Empathy is a hallmark quality of a Vaishnava. Empathy. So empathy means understanding, yes, I was also once a non-devotee, and some Vaishnava or many Vaishnavas showered their mercy and blessings upon me without judging me, and they lent their uh, helping hand to pull me out of this rotten material world. Okay. So I should also do the same to others. I was struggling. I neglected. I rejected them. I refused to accept their hands. But still, they were relentless in pulling me out of this uh, dungeon of this material world. So I am a product of mercy. So similarly, why should I judge other people? I should also uh, uh, lend my hand. Yes, uh, uh, they might be in a very difficult situation right now. They might be in a very rebellious situation right now. But so was I. But still, someone showed their trust in me. Someone showed their compassion upon me. So this willingness to say uh, that every uh, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. This is the essence of empathy, which means there is hope for everyone in this material world. There is hope for everyone. Why? Because the soul is constitutionally a servant of Krishna. The soul is constitutionally a servant of Krishna. The potential is always there. The potential is always there. Okay. So the potential is never lost. Even if one commits Vaishnava Parad, that is not an eternal. Uh, Even if someone commits a Vaishnava Parad, serious Vaishnava Parad, still that is not complete doomsday for him. At some point, he may rectify his tendencies and come back to the path of bhakti. Krishna will not reject that person. Krishna will not reject that person. So, empathy means under, true empathy comes from understanding the constitutional nature of the living entity. That constitutionally, the living entity has the potential to realize its relationship with Krishna. So, no living entity in this world is hopeless. Every living entity has hope. Okay. So, so every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. That, and I was, people may call me a saint now. Okay. But even I had a past. I know how I was before. So that is empathy. That is empathy. Okay. That is the meaning of who identifies with others' happiness and distress. Paradukka duki, parasukha sukhi. You know, that is a very, very important quality. Again and again it comes. So then the question is, yes, I have asked you to worship the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, but that does not mean you disrespect everyone else. So he says, Sarvani Nataya Bhavadbis Charani Bhutani Sutadruvani Sambhavitavyani Pade Padevo Vivikta Drigbis Taduharhanam Me. O sons, at all times you should meditate on all moving and non-moving beings with pure vision. Since I am situated in all of them, besides this, you should worship me. Okay. So just because you should worship the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas does not mean you can disrespect the other living entities what to speak of living entities, even inanimate objects. It's not that you can disrespect the inanimate objects, because I am situated as the Paramatma even in the inanimate objects. I am situated as the Paramatma even in the inanimate objects. So, so therefore, you should not disrespect anyone. And in fact, the acharyas say that if you have a generic disrespectful attitude, you cannot say that, okay, I will respect the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, but I will be disrespectful towards the others because they are not Vaishnava and Brahmanas. No, because if you disrespect them, that we are nurturing the tendency of disrespect. We are nurturing the tendency of disrespect. So therefore, when we come to the association of Vaishnavas and Brahmanas also, that tendency being deep rooted in our heart will come out. We will naturally try to disrespect the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas also. When pushed here and there little bit, our natural tendency will come out. So therefore, the Lord again and again says that try to respect everyone. What to speak of everyone? Everything. Okay. Give the respect that it deserves, so that you develop the quality of uh, uh, respect, the culture of respect. And that culture of respect is there, it will naturally get transferred to giving proper respect to the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas. So one should give respect to all living beings in order to destroy the faults such as disrespect and envy. Because I am situated in all beings, dear sons, you should meditate on all moving and non-moving beings with vision devoid of envy and other faults. Vivikta drigbihi. Without any envy. Other than this, you should worship me. This is a separate sentence including the word vaha. Mano vachodrik karane hitasya sakshat kritam me paribarhanam hi vinapumanyena mahavimohat kritan tapashad na vimoktumishet. Serving me directly with mind, speech, sight, and other senses belonging to the body is worship of me. So, how you can worship me? You can worship me with your mind, mano, vacho. You can worship me with speech. Okay, you can worship me with mind by smaranam, thinking about me, lila smaranam, nama smaranam, seva smaranam, seva dhyanam. Okay, you can meditate on your services also, how you can serve. That is also worshipping me, um, worshipping me with your mind. Okay. Then there is worshipping me with your speech, where you chant my holy names, speak about my glories. Okay. You can worship me by your sight. You can worship me by your sight, by taking darshan of my form, darshan of my mahotsav, a festival. And through your other senses also you can worship me, belonging to the body. Vina. Without this kind of worship, Puman na vimoktumishet. Without this, man cannot be freed. Kritanta pashat, from the ropes of death. Mahavimohat, or from great illusion. Pritirna yavad maivasudeve. Pritirna yavad maivasudeve. Na muchyate deha yogena tavat. The same thing which in the beginning Rishabhadev told that, okay, don't think that just by, you know, uh, Atma Jigyasa, inquiry into the nature of the soul and the body, you don't think that just by that you can escape, you can achieve liberation. Pritirna yavad mayi vasudeva. Unless you develop preeti towards the Supreme Lord, unless you develop preeti towards the Supreme Lord, your liberation is not guaranteed. Okay. So that element of bhakti is very critical. He concludes the subject by describing the general quality of bhakti and saying that there cannot be liberation without bhakti. Engaging the mind, voice, sight, and other senses belonging to the body in relation to me is worship of me. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhavasa sadhana bida. Nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam hridi sadhyata. So what is sadhana bhakti? He says, engaging one's mind and senses in the service of Krishna in performing various activities. Without this, a man cannot be freed from the ropes of death or from great illusion. Okay. To summarize what we have seen in this last four verses, sorry, not just four verses, 21 to 27, 7 verses. So Rishabhadev emphasizes to his Kshatriya sons the importance of acting under the guidance of Brahmanas. He says, the Supreme Lord and the best of the devotee may be present in your house. Supreme Lord in the form of Rishabhadev, best of the devotee in the form of uh, Bharat Maharaj. But that does not mean that you can disrespect others. Every living entity, including the plants, must be respected. In the evolutionary cycle, the Brahmanas are the highest, even higher than Brahma and Shiva. What to speak of that? They are worshipable even by me. In fact, I prefer to eat from their mouths rather than through the sacrificial fire. They support my body in the form of Vedas and are endowed with all wonderful qualities. Hence, there is no one superior to them. But better than even the Brahmanas are my Akinchana devotees who need nothing from me except me. Hmm, hmm. Except me. You should respect them even more. But having said that, I want to remind you that you should respect all the living entities as I reside in all of them as a super soul. So, in conclusion, real worship of me is serving me directly with mind, speech, sight, and other senses. Without this, man cannot be freed from the ropes of death. Without that, man cannot be freed from the ropes of death. So, like that, he uh, he brings it back to this particular point. Okay, without bhakti, there is no liberation. Okay, so this brings us to the end of Rishabhadev's teachings to his sons, which were all spoken in poetry. Now we revert back to the fifth canto norm of prose because it's going to be a narration now, a long narration. So we revert back to the prose format here. Okay. So yeah, I think, yeah, we will pause here. We can take Rishabhdev's renunciation as an avaduta. I think this section, let me see how many slides are remaining in this chapter. 94 to 118. 94 to 118 to 35. Yeah, I think we can complete this chapter tomorrow. If we start it now, we will not be able to complete. So I think we will pause here to see if there are any quick discussion points, comments, questions. We will take that first. There are some things in the chat box we will take first, and then we will see if there are any further questions. Okay. Reflection on yesterday's discussion. I think 7 purposes of ISKCON are broad enough to accommodate different strains of bhakti. Exclusivist, Vraja Bhakti, Varnashrama, etc. Communities can respectfully disagree with each other without trying to appropriate the voice of founder Acharya. To address the insider's confusion argument, there need some sense of self-awareness amongst ISKCON communities regarding these various angles of bhakti cultivation, and they should be empowered to decide for themselves. Yeah, if they are empowered to decide for themselves, that is perfectly fine. Yeah. So we are broader. So we need to know where we can be broad-minded and where we have to remain chaste. If you mix that, then there is always a problem. Okay. So we need to know where we have to be broad-minded and where we have to be exclusivistic. Okay. When it comes to our own personal practice, we have to be very chaste. When it comes to accommodating people, we have to be very broad. Okay. We have to be very broad. We should not have a sense of sectarian mentality. When it comes to appreciating others, we should not have sectarian mentality. But when it comes to our own personal practice, there has to be not a sectarian mentality, there has to be chastity. Okay. Not that, so just because a wife feels very chaste towards her husband does not mean that she demeans the other males, thinking that they are incapable of acting as husbands. No, that does not what it means. It just means that I am married to my husband and I have to remain chaste to my husband. Okay, that's what it means. So, so therefore, we have to understand that we should know where to be exclusivistic and where to be accommodating. When it comes to other people, we should be willing to accommodate them. When it comes to our own personal practice and what we speak sitting on the Vyasasan, it has to be uh, it has to be chaste. Okay, so this is very important. This is my understanding. Okay, okay. Okay. If a child is born to Shudra parents but raised by a Brahmana right from birth, will behave like a Brahmana. What about the impressions of Shraddha stored in him? Will it all vanish by the next two steps? Well, the it depends on how deep the impressions are. You cannot tell for sure. Okay. You cannot tell for sure. Uh, So first thing, if a child is born, so here one thing, please get it very clear. Here we are not talking about devotees because devotees are not, you cannot categorize them as any varna. Okay. We are not talking about devotees. So I'm hoping that this question itself is not you know, it is not asked for devotees because as devotees we don't want to think that am I a Brahmana, am I a Kshatriya, am I a Vaishya, am I a Shudra? No. Okay. Bhakti means ahobata shvapachato gariyan yajjihvagre vartate nama tubhyam tepus tapaste juhus sashnurarya brahmanachur nama grinanti ete. Just by taking the holy names with pure faith, automatically one transcends the position of being a Brahmana. Okay. So we don't want to uh, discuss this for devotees. But when it comes to ordinary people, the one who is born to Shudra parents are it very much indicates that he had utilized his previous lives to assimilate qualities of a Shudra, and that needs nurture. Okay, so so when he is born with the qualities of a Shudra, when he is raised by Brahmanas, uh, proper Brahmanas. So there is a chance that he may, what is a Brahmana's role? A proper Brahmana's role is to identify his inherent qualities and nurture that quality. So when he comes in touch with a proper Brahmana, he will not become a Brahmana, but the Brahmana will identify his proper qualities, nurture that qualities, develop that qualities, and make him become a better and better Shudra. Better and better Shudra means not that he becomes completely, you know, uh, following the Shudra duties, but slowly increasing the amount of sattva in it. Okay. So that gradually there is a gradual progress, purification. And in his next life, he will he will have a predominance of sattva because of that nurture and association. And it's quite possible that in his next life, he may be born as a Brahman. like that. Okay, there is one more question. Please clarify, how does the present caste system compare to the Varnas? If qualities are primarily acquired by birth, how do we understand people exhibiting qualities that are radically, very radically different from their birth? See, that's what I said. You know, you purchase the carrot, or what is a vegetable which rots very fast? Hmm. What is a vegetable which rots very, very fast? Tomatoes, you can say, which needs immediate refrigeration. Let's say milk. Why to think about vegetables? Let's think about milk. You purchase milk, okay. Very quickly, it becomes spoiled if you don't. That's the exact explanation. We are talking about refrigeration being the samskaras, and then subsequent, whatever, that is the sangha. So if you don't, if that is not properly protected and nourished by the samskaras and sangha, then even though the person may have particular uh, this thing, qualities by birth. See, again, birth means here now the system has become completely by birth. All the Brahmanas and everything, most of them, not all of them, most of them are namesake. Okay. They may call themselves as Brahmanas, but they might not really have, for generations together, they might have lost that because of lack of samskara and sangha. They are only namesake Brahmanas, but they probably are very likely uh, not Brahmanas. Maybe even Antyajas. Uh, maybe even Antyajas. So that is possible. So in today's day and age, very rarely are these things properly protected and preserved. I mean, I would say rarely. I would definitely not say never, because there are many communities in which they are very properly protected and preserved in India. So, okay, next question. Within our movement, sometimes we also observe Varna discrimination based on just birth. How to understand impressions carry and decide birth in case some great devotees like many Srila Prabhupada's disciples and like Haridas Thakur. Okay, in such cases, okay, one of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples, he asked Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur that how is it that sometimes very great devotees are born in very unfortunate looking families. Okay. Very unfortunate families. Like you see the case of Yamuna Mataji, whose appearance day was yesterday. Was it her appearance day or disappearance day yesterday? Was it her appearance day or disappearance day yesterday? Anyone remembers? It was celebrated in Vrindavan in the Samadhi area. It was her disappearance day yesterday. Her father was a butcher, actually. Her father was a butcher. And if you see Vamshidas Babaji, he was born in the family of fishermen. Okay. Why? So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, this is just to show that bhakti does not depend on material situations. Bhakti does not depend on material situations. Bhakti is beyond material situations. Bhakti does not depend on material qualifications or disqualifications. In order to prove this, in order to prove this, actually, such great devotees are sometimes orchestrated by Krishna. Orchestrated by Krishna. They are born in some not so great families. Okay, next question. Superior to animals are human beings, and superior to human beings are ghosts because they have no material bodies. Superior to ghosts are the Gandharvas. Okay. I couldn't understand how ghosts are superior to humans. And asuras are also superior. In a particular sense, probably in terms of their powers. Okay. Here, um, uh, like again, if you see in terms of, it is also mentioned that Lord Shiva, Brahmaji is superior to Shiva, and an explanation was given. Okay. So sometimes it is in terms of powers or certain other things, like we see in the case of Brahma and Shiva. And talking about ghosts, I would like to see what is the exact word that is used here. Let me just check. Oh, this is over, right? Okay, yeah. Okay. Bhuteshu ye sarisripaha भूतेषु विरुद्ध उदुत्तमाये सरीसृपस्तेषु सबोधनिष्ठाः ततो मनुष्याः प्रमताः. Pramataha is translated by Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, humans are pramataha. Pramataha means humans are superior to animals. And maybe, I think pramataha Prabhupada is taking to be ghosts. But they are not exactly ghosts. They are a particular class of beings. Okay. And how they are superior. Okay. Maybe in a particular context, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, I don't exactly know. I think Prabhupada would have translated pramataha as yeah, somewhere he says, somewhere remember reading ghosts is superior because they do not have gross body like humans. Uh, yeah, it's not exactly like that. Uh, yeah, pramataha, yeah, they are followers of Lord Shiva. Maybe in a particular context, uh, yeah, Pramatanatha, the Lord Shiva is called as Pramatanatha. So, yeah. So, associates of Lord Shiva, maybe in some sense they are superior. Okay. I don't know in what sense Prabhupada is taking it like that, but there must be in some sense in which they are superior. But then he also says that Brahma is superior to Shiva since he produces him in that sense. Because the subject is devotion to Brahmanas, Brahma is considered superior to Shiva because of his service to the Brahmanas. However, Shiva is superior to Brahma as a Vaishnava and in powers. Okay, right? So that is clarified in that way. So like that, there must be some clarification also. I don't exactly know. Yes, Pavana Gauranga Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandat Prabhu.
Prabhuji, my question related to yesterday's discussion, and
Yeah.
we are discussing about sticking to our, and today also you touched upon that in the Vyasasana we need to stick on our sampradaya, and we need to also be broad-minded as accommodative to all the people.
Yeah.
In that context, like somebody speaks on Vyasasana something related to the not very appealing to the our parampara. But because of that thing, the hearers will also be get that kind of faith. They will inflict that kind of faith.
Yeah.
Now, as a hearer, as one of the hearer, we convinced of our sampradaya, and we will try to stick to our sampradaya. But we know that this is not the thing. But how we can help other people in that situation, Prabhu? In that, like, if we are there in those situations, how we can deal or how we can help other
See,
people.
once in a while, we should not be like, oh, he has spoken from some other this thing. Not that, see, like you can say like 80-20 at least.
Oh,
80%, if it is as long as it is from Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the writings of our Acharya, 20% from here and there to support the same points which are presented by our Acharyas is perfectly fine. I don't
yeah.
think we need to be like, oh, you have quoted from this book, I will not hear your Bhagavatam class. Not like that.
No, I will say, I think quoted in the sense it is not like that. For example, yesterday, like I recently heard few things. That's why I'm just asking this question. Now they are asking that introducing, we should read Nyaya, we should read Dharma Shastras, and we need to learn the Sanskrit. These things they are telling. See, these are not, they are quoting like insisting faith on devotional thing, but it is not exclusively, it is not relating anything the parampara teachings, right, Prabhu? When
Well,
these things are taught, then what should we do?
well, uh, Nyaya Shastras are meant for uh, understanding scriptures little better. Okay. And similarly, language, Sanskrit, also can help in understanding the writings of the acharyas little better. There is nothing wrong with that. It is not non-devotional because our acharyas had also studied the Nyaya Shastras. They also knew Sanskrit. But now it depends. So here, what they are recommending is not at all wrong. It is very much uh, good only. But the point is where the emphasis goes. Where the emphasis goes. If someone says that you cannot appreciate Srimad Bhagavatam without studying Sanskrit, if such a statement is made, that is wrong. Okay, because Bhagavatam can be understood if you have the association of the right kind of devotees. If you have a devotional mode, you can accept, you can appreciate Srimad Bhagavatam. So um, if the emphasis becomes language, then it becomes a problem. But language is definitely a tool. Uh, Again, we know English, that's why we are able to read Srila Prabhupada's purports. But of course, if you say that one who does not know uh, to read and write, illiterate, he cannot practice bhakti. If such things are presented, then it is wrong. Okay. So the problem is not with what they are suggesting. Um, you know, the Nyaya Shastras are good for understanding, how do you relate with the scriptural logic and how do you understand. It is good. But the point is, if you start overemphasizing and presenting as if, it is all in all, rather than emphasizing the importance of, uh, you know, uh, humble devotional service. Okay. Once in a while, you can tell, okay, you may present, okay, you understand this very nicely, in Sanskrit, there is nuances, these words, you don't have an exact translation in English, it is much more nuanced in Sanskrit, and then you explain it. But if you stretch it and say, therefore, if you don't know Sanskrit, there are people who say, if you don't know Sanskrit, you really cannot appreciate Bhagavatam. Okay. Now that is actually you are crossing the line. Okay. That you are crossing the line. As long as the emphasis is on devotion, as long as the emphasis is on humility, as long as the emphasis is on uh, you know uh, service, definitely that can be embellished with some illuminations from the Sanskrit language. That is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. These are definitely tools which can help our appreciation of the study. But the problem is where the emphasis is. Okay. Bhagavatam can be understood if by a devotee, not by a Sanskrit scholar. Okay.
Yes.
So when the emphasis become overemphasis, then it becomes a problem. The suggestion is definitely good, and you know that not everyone can read language and understand language, a new language. So one should not make them feel. At the end of the class, people should not feel that, oh, I have not studied Sanskrit and I am already 50 years old. Now I cannot learn a new language. My life is completely wasted. I cannot understand Bhagavatam. If you make them feel like that, that is wrong. Okay, that is wrong. Okay, they should know that I can. Yasya deve para bhaktir, yata deve tata gurau tasyete Katito hi artah prakashante mahatmanah. If I worship my guru, considering him, giving him the same respect that I would give to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically by their mercy, I will understand the Shastras. That should be the emphasis.
Yes,
So when the emphasis, as long as it is there, to say that study Sanskrit or recommend Sanskrit is not a problem. It's not a problem.
yes. True. In relation to this only, one question is that now, as you mentioned that when it comes to the our own like faith to the parampara or the conviction about the devotional service, like what I convince about it, that thing only I will speak, right, Prabhu? Maximum times, see, if I
Yeah.
like somebody is no very much appreciating, is convinced of distribution, he will try to emphasize it, and emphasize in the sense not discriminating other people, in not in that sense I'm saying here, but here he is more inclined, or his attraction to that particular service, so he will glorify it and he will do that thing. But when it comes to the like a philosophy, what I am convinced, if I speak that thing, then it will make a chaos, right, Prabhu?
Yeah. I
If
mean,
it is
as
if it is not in relation with the parampara thing, like as you
yeah,
mentioned 80-20%, that I agree with that. If it is as mentioned that if that is emphasizing that anukulyasya sankalpam pratikulyasya varjanam, if it
mm,
is that emphasized towards that, then it is good.
mm.
Even if it is a 20% also, if the emphasis is given too much on one or two aspects of it, then even that also will cause a problem.
It can potentially create problems.
Yeah,
Yes.
in those situations, I'm not saying that we should means I will reform and all those things, but here when these situations when come, how we need to go ahead with this. Uh,
I mean, we understand. See, that's why we should always have a guiding light. Srila Prabhupada, our Guru
yes,
Maharaj. Okay. So
yes,
when we hear them, see where they are emphasizing
yes,
and keep that as the guiding light. And
yes, bro.
as long as what we hear from others, it is in alignment with them, we accept. If it is not in alignment, that part we may not necessarily accept. We may postpone it. We will
Okay,
get it clarified later and then accept it. But we don't have to
okay,
reject people. We can reject because I don't think sitting on the Vyasasana there is any one person who will 100% deviate from whatever uh, Srila Prabhupada or Guru Maharaj says. There may be some people, some 5% deviation, from some 10% deviation, or I am also calling it deviation. I'm not telling deviation, it may be perceived deviation.
yeah,
5% perceived deviation, 10% perceived deviation, 20% perceived deviation. So that 5, 10, 20%, we can keep it aside for further clarification. And the 80% which is in line, we accept it. That's all.
okay. Okay. One more question, Prabhu, in relation with this. As you mentioned yesterday, like in our discussion, you mentioned that there was a survey in the higher, those who are practicing about like about 25 years or 30 in those thing. You mentioned that very less number of people are reading of the Srila Prabhupada book and these things. Now, like I also seen observed that people are more emphasizing on this matter of like Sanskrit, learning the Sanskrit or reading the acharyas. They are not saying reading something else, but they are also asking to read previous acharyas without proper emphasis of the no reading Srila Prabhupada books. This became a very natural thing, and even 10 people, 10 speakers speak, out of the 10, 8 or 9 are in that sense, like nobody is emphasizing so much on the reading Prabhupada books and trying to understanding those philosophy initially. This emphasis is not given. How to understand this? If this is not given, how the movement will go? Because Prabhupada said my books are for next 10,000 years.
Yeah.
if this generation, if not emphasizing so much, as we see Prabhupada's disciples generation, they emphasized a lot on reading Prabhupada books. When it comes to the third generation, very few people, we can just we can tell very few people they are emphasizing on reading.
I, yeah, I don't know. I, I don't think it is that bad from whatever I have observed. I don't think the situation is so alarming. Maybe in a particular geographical area, in a very, it may be like that, but I don't think it is so alarming all over. I think things are improving a lot in ISKCON. Since the time the survey happened, things have improved a lot, actually.
Okay.
There are lot of emphasis on, even for initiation, basic Bhakti Shastri is a prerequisite.
Yes.
Bhakti Shastri means you have to, the study and the exams are all based on Srila Prabhupada's books only. So,
Yes.
and Bhakti Vaibhav also primarily is based on Srila Prabhupada's books.
Yes.
So, I think things are definitely improving. This survey was conducted many years back, and
Okay.
things have significantly improved since that time. So, I don't think that the situation is very so alarming. Maybe in some small pockets within the world, maybe it may be a little bit significant. It may seem like that, but in the greater part of ISKCON, I don't think it's such a serious problem. I think people are definitely studying Srila Prabhupada's books.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Keshav Premataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we are discussing so much about yesterday. The discussion was so nice that uh, your concern regarding that devotees inside the movement should not be disturbed. Like that, we are discussing, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
And you were also telling that you are for that. I mean, preaching or in various techniques devotees are applying, and you said sometimes indirect devotional services like a motivation program and also you support that also you are telling yesterday, Prabhuji.
Yeah. I mean, in a,
So
in a sense,
sometimes, yeah, so you said that is your support, but sometimes, Prabhuji, it's my experience that indirect way of preaching, sometimes the things taught there is not the understanding of what we are given by Srila Prabhupada or our parampara things, Prabhuji, just to maybe encourage outsiders as a motivation. So some devotees, they send me such videos, see, the ISKCON devotee only has spoken this. What you're telling is different, what here he is telling is different. How to understand this? If they ask me, I don't have an answer, Prabhuji. So what I want your comment on such things, Prabhuji.
yeah, it is always walking on a tightrope only.
Hmm.
It is always walking on a tightrope. So I would
Hmm.
say the indirect thing, as much as possible,
Hmm.
it is the indirect forms of preaching, because
Hmm.
initially it has to be indirect, because direct would become the ninth offense, to instruct a faithless person
Hmm.
directly
Hmm.
about the glories. Okay.
Hmm.
So ideally, indirect should be one-on-one.
Hmm.
Okay. You see the person, handhold him, and he may say, okay, he has lot of attachment to this. He say, okay, no problem. You can read it. You can
Hmm.
read it.
Hmm.
Okay. But when it is publicly done as a representative
Hmm.
as of the institution,
Hmm.
then the more the indirect it is, then the more we will not be able to support it. The other side is also there. Okay.
Yeah.
People may misunderstand. That problem is always there.
Hmm.
So I am all right with indirect forms of preaching, as
Hmm.
long as people take sufficient care that
Hmm.
the outside world starts perceiving us, uh, you know, standing for particular things. They should not, like Prabhupada was very careful that one should not see that, ISKCON is just like any other social service organization. Like that,
Hmm.
Prabhupada was very careful that
Hmm.
not that
Hmm.
social service we don't want to do. Okay. Because that is
Hmm.
serving the society is a very, very nice way of uh, inspiring Agyata Sukriti, you know. both Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur very strongly emphasize distribution of prasadam as a means of bringing people, making people favorable to Krishna consciousness. Okay. Now, this is seen in other social service organizations also. They also do that. Okay. So, so the point is that we have to be careful and conscious that if we say that, let's say for inspiring people beginning in the beginning days or to bring them to Krishna consciousness, if you go and as a representative of ISKCON, if you say that, okay, study the Dharma Shastras very nicely and do that, then you will not be able to back it up when they become insiders. You know, it becomes, or when insiders hear it, they can also get potentially confused. So this is where the problem comes. So ideally, in my opinion, this is my humble opinion. How do you apply it and do it is something which I have not given it a lot of thought. But the point is, the indirect forms of preaching, ideally should be one-on-one. The farther they are from, the farther they are from, the core teachings. If we do it as an explicit representative of the institution, then it will lead to issues. People will think that, oh, ISKCON also they promote this literature, that literature, this thing, that thing, like that, or yoga. Oh, ISKCON means, oh, they will do a lot of yoga like that. But in small pockets, those can also be means of bringing somewhat favorable people closer to Krishna. Okay, but we should, but we have to be careful not to project it so much as our mainstream this thing. Our mainstream should always be Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, book distribution. That should be our mainstream thing. Okay, as a side to pull in other people who may have other interests, we can always do, but that should never be our mainstream thing. That's my understanding. And
Yes,
ideally,
Prabhuji.
one-on-one is always good. Indirect ways for that one-on-one is always good.
Yes, Prabhuji. Not just they are suggesting to read other Shastra. Uh, in the name of motivation, what they speak, that philosophy itself is against what we are taught here, Prabhuji. So that's what I'm concerned. That
Yeah,
philosophy, if it's changing,
yeah,
because we are just explaining what Prabhupada says, and we are cultivating people, Prabhuji. And they sent me recently. It happened to me. So they sent me some video and said, Mataji, you're telling like this, but here it's a ISKCON devotee, they're telling like how to understand.
yeah.
They innocently asking, but
There,
I couldn't
this is
protect.
there. See,
Mm,
again, you see in any endeavor,
mm,
there will be some plus and some minus. Okay.
mm, mm,
Sometimes, some certain ways of bringing in outsiders or a particular class of outsiders,
mm,
uh, uh, for that, certain kinds of preaching may be more effective.
mm,
That, see, it's always, if you completely stick to the puristic ways, maybe sometimes it may become little difficult to bring some other class of people to
mm,
ISKCON. So, uh, there has to be a balance. There can be some people who are doing it. At the same time, there must be other people who should very nicely counterbalance it and educate the insiders, so that the
mm.
insiders understand that what is spoken here is for the outsiders, rather than thinking that this is spoken to us only. So
So
that
can
kind
I
of a
tell?
counterbalancing is important.
Mm. So can I tell that person it's for outsiders? You don't mind? Can I tell that
Yeah,
person
it
who
is for
sent me
very
that?
beginners. It is for, you can say that it is for those people who are yet to begin. Okay. It
Mm,
is for those people who are yet to begin. But
mm,
slowly, when they, sometimes you have to tell them what they
mm,
want to hear, so
mm,
that you can get them to hear what you want to say.
mm, 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 I
or
agree,
what you
Prabhuji.
want them to hear. Okay. This is what Prabodhananda Saraswati also says. That Dante Nidaya Trinakam Padayor Nipatya. Um, what is it? Dante Nidaya Trinakam Padayor Nipatya. Kakushatam Bravimi. He Sadava Sakalametad Vihaya Dura Chaitanya Chandra Charane Kurutanuragam. He says, oh, he glorifies them. Oh, what you're doing is wonderful. What you're doing is really amazing. Keep doing it and all that. And finally, when he becomes very favorable to hear, and they said, please give up all these things and just take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. So that is the principle. But for that, you have to, when you are doing that Dante Nidaya Trinakam and Kakushatam Bravimi to the outside people, the insiders should be educated. Please wait, please wait. This is just the beginning. That Sakalametad Vihaya Dura Chaitanya Chandra Charane Kurutanuragam is coming. Please wait. You are just seeing the first part of it. The second part is coming. So that education for the insiders is very critical.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. I know there are some questions in the chat box, but it's time. I will have to stop here. Already 2 minutes over time. I'm sorry. We will take these things tomorrow. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad ki jai, Srimad